mentioned just now, would there be like a training or training certification that the Fahad could do that would give us the credentials we need, or?
Yeah, there isn't a structured credential or like that we're passing along, but we do have trainings that we offer, and they're out of HQ today, so out of Campbell, California. If you all are open to flying a person or two out, then that's easy to accomplish. If not, then Romares could probably even come in on site and do some things on site. I mean, we'll be flexible, but right now the actual training, the administrative training that we offer, it's out of HQ, and it's done probably every 2 months.
And you probably have some online training as well.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
There's some online training. It's kind of limited right now, but there's some on there.
Yeah, and ultimately, Glass, what I would hope to do, this Romares, I'm in Allen, Texas, so I'm not too far. I'm a hop and skip and a jump from you guys, but
That's great.
yep, I'd love to come on site with you guys and do a deep dive and walk your technical team to it. Ultimately, we all want to be able to talk intelligently about the product, and we want you guys to be able to do that. So that would be my goal, is to enable your team to be able to speak intelligently about it and be able to present it and demo it just like I'll be able to do for you guys today.
Or you just have an open-ended discussion and say, tell me what your issues are. That's what I'm really.
We do surveys, but the majority of the time when we're having conversations, it's discovery to start with.
Yeah, we usually have a discovery call where we go through the use cases that are particularly interested, our customers are particularly interested in. For example, if I'm talking to a customer, and this happens a lot, we'll have initial calls, and we ask them about their infrastructure. What are you guys doing today in the cloud? What brought you to this call today? What was your reasoning for having this call? A lot of times customers will say, hey, we just signed up with Office 365. We're having trouble securing things that are being stored, our data at rest, or we're concerned about what's going out in email, things like that. And then we fine tune our presentation to that, especially on the demo side for me on the technical side, but also even in our presentation. But when we give our general presentation before we begin that demo, we do cover at a very, very high level all the other areas that we touch, because sometimes that also resonates with the customer when they're listening in things that they didn't even think about or knew that we did.
Please continue. I'm sorry for all the salesy questions.
No, that's okay. And you know what? If you guys don't mind, I'm going to demo just a few things for you guys because we're running short on time. So I want to show you some of the bread and butter use cases that you'll see, and you'll see how we resolve those, and it'll resonate with you, and you'll see why they resonate with our customers. So one of the first things I'm going to do, if you guys can see my screen okay, is I'm going to walk you through what a average user's experience would be. And a lot of times that will be, you have users who are logging in at Microsoft, right? And this is where our customers say, okay, how do you guys protect from a user anywhere in the world logging in? How do we keep them from keeping that data safe, or keep data from ending up in places that we don't want it to be? So as Derek showed you earlier, we do get in the middle. We get in the middle by using SAML. So SAML is a protocol for single sign-on and for authentication. So a lot of single sign-on tools like Okta, Ping, ADFS will leverage SAML. We get in the middle with the SAML assertion. And what it will do is, when we logged into Microsoft just now, Microsoft, we reconfigured it. They know that we do single sign-on, so they send us back, in this case, to Okta. Now, we show this with our customers because we want them to know we don't just work with Bitglass. You can also do this if you're using Okta or Ping or whoever you're using for single sign-on. The point is, at the end of the day, we still get in the middle, as you can see as the URL being rewritten here. And so we can secure your data on any device anywhere. In this case, there's not an agent on this device or anything like that, but if this user went on here and logged in and wanted to go, let's say they're at their mother-in-law's house because they forgot their laptop, they're going to hop on their mother-in-law's machine to try to work on a document. That's the blessing of being out in the cloud. It's also the curse, right? Because now I can work on this secret document on any device, anywhere. So you and I both know the issue is me as a company, I don't want this document downloaded to grandma's machine, or to grandma's machine, to my mother-in-law's machine, or whoever, right? That's fine, you work on it, but I don't want you downloading it here. So what you'll see is I just downloaded this document to this machine here. I'm going to go ahead and open it. And because of our tool, even if they downloaded this document, they can work on it in the cloud. But notice what it says. The content, sorry, that's mine. I need to update my license. The content that you're trying to download has been blocked in accordance to company policy.
This is cool.
Right?
Cool. I've never seen this before.
Right. So now they can't download it, which is exactly what you want. You want that control in place. But now I'm going to answer for you this question. How do we do that? Right? How do we get in the middle? How do we do that? So let me show you. If we go out here to our admin portal, our solution is out in the cloud, which is great, right? The way that we did that is that we leverage the single sign-on piece that I talked to you about before to control and to control where they log into. So they can log in anywhere in the world through Microsoft, but their identity is going to be absolutely verified through single sign-on. And now we can apply policy because we are applying this reverse proxy. So if you go here, these are all policies. So we apply a policy in DLP that allows us to do that. So let me show you the policy that we just enacted or acted on when we just did that there. So we came in with our policies. We can do this against any group. We do sync with AD. So any group that they sync to, any user comes across, we can do this as granular to whatever cloud app that they have. We can say any app, or we can select specific applications to enact the policy against. We can do it against any method that they come in to log in, whether that's through the web, ActiveSync, their legacy Outlook. Here specifically with Office, we also have these things for Box and for Salesforce and other applications. We'll talk about that here in a minute. On any device, so I can look at it specifically by OS. So rather they're on an Android, or they're on a Windows PC, or they're on a Mac OS, and I can get very granular that way. But here's a really good one that a lot of people look at and a lot of users have been making great use of. I can also do it by location. And when I say location, I can define a location. So I can say here, I put Allen because I'm in Allen and I know my IP address is here. Or I can get as broad as saying, you know what, we're gonna deny any login out of China because we know that we don't have anyone in China, and I don't want anyone trying to hack our Office 365 accounts. So we're going to deny access to that. So we can make it as granular as that when we're applying it. In this case, though, we're saying we're coming in here for any of those across the web, and we're applying this action. And what is the action? So in this case, we had secret projects. You guys see that there? And we said, here's our action. If you see anything that tests positive for our secret projects, we want you to block it. I can encrypt it. I can add DRM, data rights management, to it, or I can block it. I also, in this case, had visible watermarking happening with that document. In fact, I can go back here and take a look at it. If we look at that document again, hold on, let me go back there. If you scroll down here, notice the watermarking here. The minute this document was downloaded, it did provide a watermark. Mm-hmm. And now, let me go back. It also called back home. And so when you say call back, what do you mean by call back home? Let me show you here, because now we have visibility. So this action didn't happen and just go unnoticed by us. It did. If you go to our dashboard.
So you've got notifications.
Mm-hmm. So.
And alarms, I'm sure, that go with that.
Yes. So notice here.
Too is all this data can be piped to a SIM too. So if you have customers that have invested into a login
SIM
platform, then we can pipe it over.
Right.
But notice that it did capture that I was here working on or downloaded this Condor document. It was watermarked, leverage DLP. I'm in Allen, Texas. That is my IP address. Please do not hack me. And if I click here, go ahead.
Also, I'm just thinking about, is this also kind of an anti-hacking capability that they would see, that somebody trying to get in unrestricted, or that doesn't have access?
Right. No, you wouldn't see that. What you could see, or what's very possible for you to see, is failed login attempts. So I'll show you here in a second that as well, because we have session policies that we can set up as well. But here you can see that it isolates it right down to where I live. This is literally this neighborhood I live in. And then the username, email, the device I'm on, where I was coming in from. So all this gets captured to give you that visibility. Now, how is that done? How do we go about that? I told you we apply DLP. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail right now because we're running short on time for DLP, but if you look here, I do want to show this to you guys. We have a whole library of DLP patterns that are industry standards that can be applied to any data coming and going. And this is any documents, any emails and content within that email. And I'll show you how that's done on certain aspects of email, but mostly against those documents. And that's what we're worried about. Data as it leaves our network, right? Once it leaves our network, how do we keep up with that? So when we look at this PII data, for example, I can look out for any social security numbers. So how do we do that? We test against the pattern for social security numbers leveraging keywords and regular expressions. I can test patterns. For example, if I see a document that had like SSN in it and maybe something that looked like a social security number in it, and say test, it's going to test positive based on that pattern and criteria that we gave it in the data pattern for our DLP. But notice if I took out that SSN and I test, it's not going to test positive because we're trying to cut down on false positives. We can also scan in documents and look for, so if a company has forms, a particular form that they want to look out for and they want to apply DLP to, and say, you know what, we don't want this form to go outside our company. We can do a file fingerprinting where we will recognize all those fields in the document, and then we can create policy around documents. When we see, let's say, 17 matches out of the 20 fields or header fields in this document, we know it's one of those forms, and then we can apply that policy rather to encrypt or block it. So that's how we, for the most part, do our real-time reverse proxy and apply that in real time. So before, our competitors are leveraging API, that's scheduled. So if I'm doing APIs, that's a scheduled response, that's not real time. This reverse proxy piece is what sets us apart, and this is done in real time.
So what do you think the window is for this reverse proxy capability? Are the other folks working on it as well? Do you think you have a window that you can capitalize? And
absolutely, and we already are. I think, to say, I mean, it'd be naive of us to say that our competitors aren't working on a reverse proxy. They are doing forward proxies, so that's the difference. A lot of them have forward proxies. We do as well. So they're like a Zscaler in the fact that they scan every bit of data that's coming through. They're finding that to be challenging, though, right? Because sometimes companies don't want to deal with people's personal information. I just want to control company sanctioned applications. So that's what we're doing. We're looking at what we're calling now managed applications. So we can take any application you have out in the cloud and we can manage that application and we can manage what happens to the data that's coming in and out of that application.
I was texted, and I know we're at a hard stop here in just a few minutes. I was texted a question about your pricing